Hi guys, welcome to my channel. This is the continuation of the games from the FIDE World Chess Championship 2024, which is happening between Dinliren and Gukesh Domaraju from India. Dinliren is from China. So this is game two, and it's happening in Singapore. In this game two, Dinliren is playing the white pieces. Dean Liren actually played the black pieces in game one and he won that game. So in the match currently, Dean Liren is winning, is having the high score. In fact, Dean Liren is winning because he has won and they just play just one game. So in the second game now, let's see what the game has to offer us as Dean Liren plays e4. Gukesh, who played white in game one, now is playing black in game two. He lost in game one, so he want to fight in this particular game, game two. So as not to, in fact, lose more games or go off guard and maybe lose points. Well, you understand what I'm trying to say, actually. So let's just go deep into how the game continue after Gukesh played e5. This is a standard way to respond to e4. Aggressively, e4 is very aggressive. It's a move that every chess player who is playing chess knows that e4 is a solid and aggressive style by anyone who wants to take the chess game to the next level. So, knight to f3 going after the pawn, knight to c6 defending the pawn. Natural stuff happening on the board. We have bishop to c4. Bishop to c4 places the bishop on an active diagonal and open these squares, that is, vacate the square for the king to castle short side as quick as possible. Here, bishop to c5 too. We see the standard Italian position on the board, very symmetrical. However, the knights are just in different position, but the bishop are on a symmetrical position with the pawns. So d3 comes up, defending this pawn. We have knight to f6, knight to c3, a6. a6 was met with a4 by Dean Liren. Actually, I have had some sound correctors saying his name is not Dean Liren but Dean Lejeune. I don't know. Is that how it is called in China? Let me know in the comment section. After d6, we have castling. h6 comes up. Then bishop to e3, challenging this strong bishop, which holds a pin on the pawn to the king, and thereby unpinning the pawn. So if bishop takes, pawn can take. There will be a pawn, double pawn on this particular e file. However, that did not happen in the game. Bishop to e6 was played. In this position, we can see the center having the same structure, just a typical Italian position. However, the differences here are just the pawn on h6, the pawn on a6, and the pawn on a4. Yeah, I think there it is. But all pieces almost look at staying on symmetrical position. a5 follows here, further advancing the pawn. Bishop takes on c4. This is the first capture in this particular game, and this has caused a pawn to stay on the c file. Well, we are going to see a doubled pawn on that c file after the knight move. Then this pawn has to be moved to enable this pawn on c2 to have active function in the game. Gukesh castled here. Bishop takes on c5. Pawn takes on c5. Pawn to b3, defending the pawn. Queen takes the queen. Rook takes the queen. We have rook coming to d8 for an exchange, wanting to exchange his inactive rook for Dean Liren active rook. What do we see on the board? Dean Liren decides to decline this. Knight comes in, knight goes down. I was thinking in this position we can see a move like this where knight takes pawn. Well, is there a variation there that gives back the pawn? The pawn is not free. Let's check it out. After knight takes pawn on e5, we can see a silent move. Very beautiful. Rook attacks the knight. So that you play pawn to f4, which, this move actually opens some diagonal towards your king. Now you don't have a dark square bishop as black. to harass this king on this diagonal. So that you play a move like this, you get it, to hold the ninth in the center, or you take the ninth back, and taking the ninth back will cause some kind of positions you don't want to play in the world championship match. If this happens, there can be nine takes pawn first, taking back the pawn. If nine takes, this happens. This is still an equal position. This will now enable white to first go for this move where pawn takes. Then if there's any move like this, you can simply say pawn defending. I think black is better here in this position. So in the game instead, after seeing ninth going to that particular square to d4, ninth goes to e1 by Dean Liren. He has his own plan, other plans actually. So here rook comes down to d6, king to f1. After pawn to g6, we see rook moves to d1 this time around. Noticing that the knight defends this pawn, that's why the rook can now move. So knight cannot take pawn. In this position, rook on f goes to d8. We have f3, defending the pawn in the center. Here, king moves, king to f2, h5, knight goes to e2. Well, if knight takes knight, if knight takes, there will be rook takes. Doesn't matter what captures. So maybe let's say, for example, the pawn captures the rook just to disconnect this double pawn on this particular file to have a mobility. King can now take. This position is, we can see it by ourselves that this position is equal position, and it will be difficult to just play anyhow and break in the world championship match, noticing that this is a classical game. So this can still lead to a draw in the future. However, after knight to e2, what do we see? Knight goes to c6 in the match. Knight goes back to c3, knight to d4, knight goes to e2, knight goes to c6, knight to c3, knight goes to d4. Then the two players agreed to a draw in this second game, the game 2 of the FIDE World Chess Championship match between Dean Liren and Gukesh Dumaraju.